Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old to history to anecdotes to really wherever our whims take us. The confusing, convoluted histories of characters, a pastime of mine. This one was less whim and more tangent. By which I mean, when we did our first video on Punchline a little while back at the time of this recording, some people asked, well, what happened to the Joker's daughter? Didn't we already have this? And some comments were even like, oh, it's a sentence for the Joker's daughter all over again. Some were clearly referring to the New 52 version, while others were talking about the older version. And yes, there's more than one. The first version of Joker's daughter appeared in 1976, and we've got to use quotes around daughter because she wasn't even his daughter. No. Allow me to explain. But before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Join us on this comic book journey. That's right, less alliteration today. Why? Cause. So, the Joker's daughter. Now, the idea of legacy characters can be pulled off quite well. This includes just mantle passing and biologically related characters, and some have gone on to be quite beloved. Look at Damian Wayne or John Kent. Spoiler, though her parentage was far less stressed, at least at the start. However, when it comes to being the daughter of a prominent villain, sorry Clue Master, things can get a little bit different. This can often be labeled as fanficky, though this tend to be when it's carried off badly. This is because people tend to lazily use fanfic as a pejorative, going off of the perception that most fanfics are bad. And also, of course, the fact that even if one is not saying that they are bad, that this is a common trope that comes up in them a lot. It does. You will see a ton of, it's so-and-so's daughter. It's a classic at this point. For example, The Cursed Child has been labeled as fanficky on many levels, and some feel that the concepts within it were pulled off far better years earlier in fandom and in fanfiction. In the minds of certain fans, the daughter twist is just played out to the point of being cliche. The thing is, secret kid reveal in general is less fresh than it once was. So if you're gonna do it, you've really gotta bring something to the table. 1976 tried its hand at it in Giant Batman Family number 6, whose cover proclaimed, "Robin falls for the Joker's daughter," with him being pushed out into traffic. Note that 1976 means pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths. Also, this issue is going to insist on using the word daddy a lot. Recognize the laughing lady taking credit for a crime perplexing Robin? You should, because she's the spitting image of her daddy, the Joker's daughter. I can't say the word daddy anymore without putting like an extra emphasis on it. It doesn't matter that people are saying zaddy sometimes, it's too late. It's too late for me. As you can see, she literally has the Joker's costume from this time period, plus boobs. The story itself is pretty thin and riding entirely on the gasp, Joker's daughter. Even though that question isn't really stressed too hard. It's like, is she? And then they just move on. The Joker's daughter appears to have stolen a manuscript, the last work of a famed mystery novelist. Robin struggles to deal with her because he can't hit a girl. We also learn some sad dick pathos. After my parents were killed in a fall from a circus trapeze, I developed an acrobatic routine that would have saved them. We all cope in different ways, but I'm low-key worried about Dick. In this era, the Joker's daughter's thing would be appearing as the daughter of various villains, and then being like, haha, it was me all along, the Joker's daughter. Her next appearance in Giant Batman Family number 8 has her as Catgirl. Then in issue 9, she pretended to be the Scarecrow's daughter, Penguin's daughter, Riddler's daughter. Was she anyone's daughter? Well, actually yes, she was Two-Face's daughter, and her name was Duela Dent. The rationale behind why she's Two-Face's daughter is, it's excellent. Her creator, Bob Rozakis, stated, receipts. It didn't take too long to decide whose daughter she would turn out to be. After all, the only married villain was Two-Face. I convinced editor Julius Schwartz and associate editor E. Nelson Bridwell, the acknowledged keeper of DC's historical consistency, that Harvey and Gilda Dent had a daughter, that Harvey had been disappointed because she wasn't a twin, and that they'd named her Duela. Duela Deville. Sorry. Wrong universe. Things I learned today. Even if you're a supervillain, having a baby out of wedlock is too far for the comics code. She would show up again in the Teen Titans, with Robin aware of her identity after figuring it out in Giant Batman Family number 9, where he would also ask her why she was doing this. Why'd she have all these different identities? What was her goal? I want to be a superheroine to make up for the evil my father has done. You? A superheroine? What about all the crimes you've committed in your daughter's disguises? Not real crimes, just malicious mischief, which has been paid for twice over with the same way you compensate for your crime-fighting damages. with mysterious money orders that arrive in the mail from a very concerned citizen. So wait, Bruce pays for the damages that Dick incurs as Robin while he's away at university in another city? Wayne Enterprises must be doing great. And yes, Duela Dent did learn Dick's identity in this issue, so I kind of feel like there's a little bit of blackmail going on, you know, to get on the Titans. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, she wants to join the Titans, and she would show up in her Joker's daughter costume, but in issue 48, she would change her name to Harlequin. Not Harley Quinn, Harlequin. The character would then find her name changed to the Card Queen, and she would appear in Batman comics where she was trying to infiltrate a gang, so still on that heroic bend. However, this wasn't her last pre-crisis or mid-crisis appearance. We're talking, of course, again about Crisis on Infinite Earths. She was seen in a bit of a perplexing encounter in Tales of Teen Titans number 50, which also features an early Let's Admire Dick's Behind panel. He's just standing there on a balcony and a gaggle of girls come up behind him just to look. One even says, "What a tush. Wonder what he looks like in shorts. Dear Dick Grayson, truly yours is a butt that won't quit." Also, this scene happens right before he has this heartfelt talk with Bruce about how come he never adopted him, so tonal shift. Emotional whiplash. I'm telling you, the evolution of Dick's butt, it's a gradual thing, just slowly blossoming in the Oasis. Yes, we did a video in Dick Grayson's Behind. That's the kind of channel this is. Anyway, Duela Dent is at the wedding of Donna Troy and Terry Long, her college professor. That's for another time. Only Duela is significantly older here. And Dick tells her he realizes that she's too old to be Two-Face's daughter. It took you this long to figure it out? So what's the truth? Maybe, Dickie, just maybe, I'll tell you one of these days. Ta-ta. Is it really bad if I don't care? Then, Crisis, 1985, the event that compresses the DC multiverse into one single Earth and is also a massive retcon and character changeover for the characters they wanted to do it with. Now you may be thinking, they clearly weren't sure what to do with this character for a long time and she hadn't really taken off, so did they just leave her alone? This is an opportunity to just leave her alone. No. She came back. Duela Dent, even though people weren't sure for a time if that was her real name, reappeared as Harlequin. Now she was a schizophrenic, which is why she would slip into those other personas. She was older in her first appearance, and the goal was that she would be a time traveler. There was a plot worked out, but it didn't actually come to fruition, and so that version was retconned out as an error, a glitch that occurred when Hal was doing his time stream madness during 0 Hour Crisis in Time. But she wasn't gone yet. She would reappear in JLA/Titans The Technus Imperative, when Cyborg got all Titan allies past and present together. There was also some playing with pre-crisis continuity in this event. So a version of Duela would be sought out, and this one too would come from a mental institution. On this version, her creator had this to say. Oh yes, multiple receipts. I got a laugh out of it when I first saw it, but I thought they wasted the character. I realized that Marvin Company didn't want her around anymore and felt they had to explain her away because of continuity, but they could have just as easily ignored her. Actually, I consider Harley Quinn to be a reincarnation of Duela. No, I don't care if they have similar names. No thank you, sir. In her last appearances in Countdown to Infinite Crisis, it would be revealed that Duela was the daughter of the Jokester from Earth 3, the Earth inhabited by the Crime Syndicate, evil alternate versions of superheroes who in the main verse are in the Justice League. Her mother was Three-Face, aka Evelyn Dent, and her mom left before her father, the Jokester, even knew she was pregnant. So she was raised by her stepfather, Enigma, and she would adopt the name Joker's daughter after meeting the Prime-verse counterpart of the Clown Prince of Crime. She would die in the kerfuffle surrounding Infinite Crisis, killed by a monitor. So that's it, right? It's over. Oh no. New 52. This is the version a lot of people think of now when they hear the phrase Joker's daughter. This is a universe that was created after Barry reset everything when he went back in time to try to save his mom from the Reverse Flash, had to change it back, but when he did, things were a bit different. Now retcons being Dr. Manhattan's fault. Cliff notes. It comes up in almost every confusing history video. I've gotten really good at compressing it. Now this version had a mixed reception. Some people really like it, and some people just think, no, please send it back. And of course you have the who? So this version got a push surrounding her introduction. She even got her own comic during Villains Month, Batman the Dark Knight 23.4. Yes, that's a daddy's girl shirt. And yes, that's a haha belly/pelvis tattoo. This version was all villain, and in keeping with the New 52's mantra, dark and gritty and full of, there's just lots of people hurting themselves and others and backstories in the New 52, and sometimes things just happen. Her face was scarred because she'd sliced it up with a razor, because ugly is the new beautiful, and she couldn't handle her perfection. She felt she was more perfect the uglier she got. She wore the Joker's severed face for a time, because yes, the Joker had cut off his own face, or the doll maker had cut off his face. His face was off, and this face got around. Like, more than one person had this face. It's the sisterhood of the traveling Joker's face. Now, Duela found it in the sewers, where she was living her life after having a psychotic break. Having it caused her to call herself the Joker's daughter, and also she would lead a legion of sewer girls and mutilate the men down there to have Joker smiles. She would seek to try to make the name Joker's daughter a reality by getting some of his blood to flow through her veins. She couldn't accept the idea that he was dead, and so she would go on to kill and mutilate in his name to fill that void while he was gone. Eventually, she would get a vial of his blood from the doll maker, who would also sew his face onto her face for a time. Wouldn't the face rot? Is it even the real face? Just let it be. This version would also try to dive into having the character potentially have split personalities, presenting multiple backstories. This after she was sent to Arkham. So it's not really clear on which is real, and hence the reader can't entirely be sure either. Hence why her face would be shown as fine in Red Hood's comic. She would end up on the Suicide Squad for a time, but would get kicked off because her and Harley would always get into fights. New 52 Harley can't talk though, because she also did weird things with this face. Like, she took the Joker's face and then put it onto Deadshot's mask. It was part of the reason why they broke up, which, I mean, understandable. The Joker's daughter would once more find herself bouncing from book to book. Again, this version of the Joker's daughter tended to elicit pretty intense reactions. From yes, exactly, she's dark, she's gritty, this is a direction that we can go in, she's a good accent to the mythos, to but why though, and this just seems dark for the sake of being dark, and it feels like they still don't know what to do with this character. In general, she never fully connected. That doesn't mean that nobody liked her, it just means that in the grand scheme of things, she didn't make that firm connection. She was billed as having staying power and that she would stick around, but that didn't end up happening. The version of the New 52 felt for some directionless because she went everywhere, from mutilating sewer dwellers to murder spree in the name of the Joker to Suicide Squad. Now the Joker's daughter has actually reappeared in the Rebirth universe, this being the soft reboot that undid some of the changes of the New 52. She would be seen in solicitations for Nightwing 57, so smack dab in the middle of the Rick Grayson arc. Here she would once more seemingly be wearing a Joker face, even though the Joker has a face once more, and she would get a new costume, no more skirt and crop top, and she would be a twisted advocate for the homeless and underclass. The living in the sewers angle often comes up with this character. You and your friends here? There is a team of Nightwings at this point. Come swinging in when these overstuffed turkeys are threatened, but when the homeless need help, you turn away. Just like Daddy turned away from me, his own daughter. But after tonight, he'll notice me. So she would appear for 2 issues, escape, and be established to potentially be used again. But it was a blip that many missed because some skipped out on the Rick Grayson arc. So she is around, not dead. I do get the punchline comparisons, but only time will tell. There are those who are hopeful that she'll come back, and that they'll finally do something really relevant and useful with her. Also, the Joker's daughter has actually made it into the Arrowverse, on Batwoman of all places, but with how all of that's going, I mean, maybe she should steer clear. There's just a whole kerfuffle happening over there. You can't tell me that a character is supposed to live in a van down by the river and not have me make jokes. You can't. I'm not a strong enough person. Will the Joker's daughter reappear? You never know. Maybe it's the future and she already has time of recording. The Joker and Harley have actually had children in AU and Elseworld stories, so who knows, maybe there's a daughter floating around out there. Doesn't even have to be Harley's, actually. There are some who have the headcanon that Punchline is the Joker's daughter, just throwing that out there now. Then we can say we got there first, and if not, just headcanons, fan theories. Maybe let's actually try her out having her deal with being Two-Face's daughter instead. I mean, the only married supervillain. So that was the Joker's daughter. Let me know what you thought. Were you aware of the character? Were you a fan? If so, of what version? Were you super here for the New 52 version and everybody else can BUTT out? Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to discuss comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.